Aloha. I love that sound. So I hope that everybody out there is tuning into this show. It is one of the most fun guests that I have had in a long time. She is so brilliant, and so she is probably the original Dr. Brown, and I'm kind of walking in her footsteps. But she's a guest today, and you can see by my background, you even can see my dog, that I am on the road, and I've got an appointment that I can't miss, but I could not wait to be here. And Erin, I got to tell you something.
Yes.
I heard this amazing. I heard someone quote something yesterday when I was in Riverside, and what she said was, "When the Kiwanis bell rings, when you hear the bell ring, that's the sound of service."
There you go. I like it.
Yeah, and most people don't know what the name Klingelhofer means. It means bell ringer.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it meant never having good Wi-Fi. I thought that's what it meant.
Oh, no, that's Valerie.
Oh, okay. God, sorry.
Yeah. That's how you define Valerie.
Not that confused.
Well, Dr. Brown is with us, and she is one of those dynamic people that has such a great background. And I know, Erin, while I'm away from the camera, you'll be able to really delve into it. But Dr. Brown, how are you doing?
Hi, Doc Val, and by the way, you are the original. No, and I'm comfortable just being called LaVerne, since we can only have one Dr. Brown in the room, and so I'll be LaVerne.
Well, actually, this Doc Val is going out of the room, and you know, the only reason why I have people call me Doc Val is because when you're on Zoom, if you're on Valerie, you're on the last page of the Zoom. They don't ever see you. So if you're Doc Val, you show up on the first page. So
I'll keep that
absolutely. I give you those tidbits. So I'm so glad that you're here, because one of the things that you do, it resonates with me so much. And so she also has a show. I'm not sure if you know about that. So I'm gonna leave camera and let y'all do your thing.
All right, Doc Val. Hopefully we'll see you before the show is out. Go take care of what you got to take care of. The incomparable Doc Val will be back with us hopefully before the show is out. Aloha. So I'm going to listen. Before you even went on the camera, LaVerne, I did the LaVerne and Shirley joke. I promise I won't do it again. But calling you Doc Brown makes me think of soda. So I'm not sure which way to go. You know, you're in Richmond, Virginia. I'm in Virginia Beach. We got the East Coast thing happening. A lot of people on this side of the country is going to know Doc Brown soda. So I don't know where to go.
Let's go with LaVerne.
All right.
Let's go with LaVerne for today.
We'll stick with LaVerne. You got it. Well, thank you for coming on this morning. You know, I'm intrigued by the My Health Reimagined, which I jokingly I'm going to say you still kind of have the new car smell on it, because according to the information, you started this at the tail end of December coming into 2026, right? I mean, talk about what the company is, and then we'll get into what it provides. So talk about that.
Yeah, I just launched My Health Reimagined December 30th, 2025. And I shouldn't say I launched it. I should say I, along with my board of directors, launched December 30th, 2025. But it feels like we've been doing this forever, but because it's been a part of me. This whole concept has been a part of me for so long. But our goal is really to just uplift lived experiences of people that have been unheard in health frameworks. And so the reason I say My Health Reimagined, because I believe that when we understand people, the whole people, their humanity, their risks, but also their resiliencies and dignity, then we can understand health a little bit differently, a lot differently, in fact. And we can reimagine a health system that serves us all better. And so that's what we're all about. And we've done a lot in our little 90 days. So I'm proud of what we're doing.
Absolutely. We'll get into that in a second, delve into what the company actually does. But I want to go a little further back. I want to kind of set the stage, because you have a PhD. I mean, you know, in my world, a PhD for us camera people means push here dummy, which simplifies how to use a camera. But, you know, your background's in chemistry. Your background is in science. So how does one transition from that part of the science field into what you're doing today, which is not so much medicinal science, but it's more of understanding data and numbers and information to make things better. How did you transition there?
Thank you for that question, because so people are always scratching their heads like, what, huh? So as a scientist, as a medicinal chemist, I was always reading the literature. And or even not just reading the literature, also involved in conducting studies, health studies and clinical studies. And what I frequently noticed was that some groups of individuals were tended to be framed in deficit, risk, disease burden frame, while other individuals were not necessarily framed that way. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, there's something missing. Like, even as a medicinal chemist, even as looking at the science from that perspective, I could see that there was something missing. I could see that we were not capturing the whole person when we were trying to understand the science and trying to understand the health. And so I didn't really know back then what to do about it, but over time I started to realize, we're missing a story. We're missing the connection between where that risk came from and who this person really is and what could be driving that risk. And I think this is a natural next step in trying to fill that gap.
So I kind of find it interesting, because as you're sharing that and that transition, growing up as a kid, even today, you still hear the following line, we are what we eat. Our society molds our thinking from the moment we're babies, all of the societal influences. And it really sounds like, and please correct me if I'm wrong and if I'm oversimplifying this, you're kind of taking those philosophies and actually applying them and trying to figure out what makes people tick because of those things. And as you say in your bio, our lived experiences, what and how they make us up. What they do within us. You know what I'm trying to say? Would that be a fair statement?
It's fair. I would say, don't forget the humanity. When we're putting together all of these data points, which is what we do in that science world. Right. We have data here, data there. Don't forget that there's a person.
Right.
There, right. And maybe we'll understand those data points a little bit better and know how to design the science, the health, the medicine a little bit better if we remember that person.
Okay. So is this more of like a one-on-one treatment with somebody that you sit down? I mean, how do you delve into the person to figure out what's going on and how how they can get help, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. Just kind of step us through a process.
Okay. That's another really good question, because my goal is not to provide medical advice. Okay. My goal is to say that we as a community need to be more involved in the clinical trials, the policies that determine our health outcomes. And to do that, though, we need to feel more empowered. And I believe that if we're sharing our stories and I hear some commonality in your story with what I'm going through, it helps to empower me. It validates what I'm going through. And once I feel validated, then I can feel a little bit stronger when I talk to my healthcare provider about what's going on, or when I think about joining a clinical trial, for instance. So the goal is really not to push some type of medical advice onto people or to say, you should do this, you should do that. The goal is really just share your story, because when you share your story, others can likely benefit.
And that's important, because in my end of the world, and since you also have a podcast as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you have to do this. You have to make a connection with people. And without a connection, it's hard to step forward. And one of the best ways to make a connection is with commonality. And so when you have two people that on the surface look as opposite as night and day, or, whatever, but then all of a sudden you find out you both like the same music or the same food or the same blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden you're like, wow, right. We have that connection. And I think that's very important. Exactly. And I believe that that's missing in a lot of, you go to a doctor's office, you go to a car lot, people just want to jump right into the meat and potatoes of things without making that connection. And I think that's a problem.
Exactly. You nailed it, Aaron. That's exactly what I'm hoping this podcast can do.
So what kind of data points, though, do you try to collect when you're with somebody? Can you give us an idea as to what you do to get these data points, and what kind of data points is it that you try to secure with the people you're working with?
When I'm talking to folks on my podcast, and by the way, so we didn't get there, but one of the platforms we use at My Health Reimagined is a podcast called Let's Thrive. And with the Thrive podcast, the reason we call it Thrive is because it's an acronym. So the T, the H, the T stands for transforming health standards to better represent communities. The H stands for honoring the sovereignty of our health data. The R stands for reclaiming our resiliencies and understanding the origins of our risk. The I stands for innovating strategies for treating our whole person and understanding our strengths. And let's see, where am I? V. The V stands for valuing. Okay, I can't talk now.
That's all right.
Having some value to our culture and our own experiences. And then the E is, of course, exchanging this knowledge, sharing this knowledge with one another, either by creative arts or through just conversation. And so that's what I'm trying to achieve. It's not that I want you on my show so that I can collect some data on you. I don't want to do that. I think that by hearing your story, we will be addressing one or more of those Thrive components. And as we continue to address those Thrive components, the goal is to eventually have enough say that we can make some changes or suggest some changes for our health systems.
Gotcha. By the way, I want to let everybody know while we're talking, if you'd like, you can check out her website, but do this with another tab, please. Don't leave the show to go check this out. It's called myhealthreimagined.org. We'll pop that up into the chat room so John can share it on a crawl for everybody. And there's a lot of great information that's on there. Suffice it to say, if you'd like to learn more, there's membership opportunities, right? What's the best way for people to reach out?
Okay, so there is a link right on the website, and I do share my email address right there on the website. You can just click a link and it goes directly to my email address. If you want to either just be on the show, if you don't want to be on the show, some people shy away from the camera, which I also usually do. You can send in some suggestions. We have a newsletter, and so I'm happy to take your story and put it in our newsletter if you're camera shy. And then in our members only section, I provided little tidbits about the science. So I didn't walk away completely from my chemistry background. I couldn't help it. I had to just act like a scientist and have a webinar available. And so that's there.
You can never leave your roots, right?
I couldn't leave it.
If you ever need a guest, I can tell you that 8 years ago, I weighed 354 pounds, type 2 diabetes, stage 2 non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, high blood pressure, yada, yada. I had gastric sleeve surgery, and my health is so much better. So if you ever need a fill-in guest,
for sure, because I talk about resilience, and you are the epitome of resilience right now.
I do CrossFit 3 times a week. I even wrote a book about it called "Let My Voice Speak to You: Stories from a Hall of Fame broadcaster." So we'll talk about that. We'll do that.
Yeah.
It's like you. It's like when you host a podcast, to answer questions is usually not the most comfortable. We're used to asking them, right?
Right.
So it kind of is a little bit of a role reversal. All right. We're going to step aside for our first break here because we got so much more to do. I just want to remind everybody that coming up, of course, we have our weekly message from Melissa Atwell, the Mental Health Moment. Depending upon if Val gets back in time, we may have a Val's wow moment. But of course, listen, we just started off with, I lost that, baseball season. So I've got some baseball-themed bad dad jokes coming up. And, of course, LaVerne did her homework. She's going to have some ready for us as well. So there's a lot more to do here in Kiwanis Connects. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Sometimes I'd like to smack old age right in the kisser. Ow!
I always get the best parking spot.
I think she needs a little more help.
Monday?
What I really need is a boyfriend that can drive at night.
I can make a fashion statement out of anything.
I will be fabulous.
I
I have a little crush on my pharmacist.
With Comfort Care at your side, you can live your best life possible. We know families can't be there 24/7, which is why we can help with as much or as little home care as you need. From medication reminders and meal prep to everyday chores and errands, so you can live in your own home on your terms.
I wouldn't let aging stop me from being me.
Call Comfort Care now and let us create your personalized care plan and find the perfect caregiver match.
Can you show that number again? She was texting.
Together with Comfort Care, you can both live your best life possible.
The Centennial Internet Kiwanis Club is pleased to announce that we are currently accepting pre-orders for the newest manufacturing run of the giant 8-foot-high Kiwanis logo inflatables. New this round, we're accepting orders for Action Club, Circle K, Key Club, and Kiwanis designs. At $625 per unit plus shipping, these inflatables are easy to set up, display, and store. You can order them online at centennial-internet.club today.
Hey everybody, Aaron Phillips here from the Kiwanis Connects show. Hey, are you trying to recruit for new members? Do you have a huge event coming up that maybe is your biggest fundraiser of the year? But you need to do something different to let people know that it's happening. The same old gives you the same old routine and results. Well, we've got an idea for you. The Kiwanis Connect show offers the opportunity to have customized commercials created to help your club get your message out. And you know what? One of the extra wonderful points of this opportunity is we provide it as a fundraising opportunity for every $50 donation for the commercial goes to the Rose Float Kiwanis Club. That's right. The very same Rose Float that we see on television every New Year's that represents Kiwanis International will now be supported by these Kiwanis Connects commercials. So, if you want more information to get involved, just drop us an email at KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. That's KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. Get your 30, 60, or 90-second customized commercial today, and let's help the Rose Float Kiwanis Club continue to plant its seeds for success. All right, welcome back to Kiwanis Connects. Aaron Phillips here. Doc Val Brown is currently stepped away from the camera. She'll be joining us hopefully before the show is out. But joining us is yet another Dr. Brown, LaVerne Brown. She is the founder of her company called My Health Reimagined. And just basically, folks kind of get an idea that she tries to reconnect people with what they do and the life's experiences and tries to figure out how to basically, let's just say, realign your chakras, as some people will say, to see how things are better for you around. I know I've oversimplified that really, really bad. But all right, I wanted, before we get back into some serious stuff, I noticed on your resume you listed a couple of things, and I would be remiss in not asking you questions about some of the fun things you listed on your bio that you shared with me. So you say you love to dance to your favorite tunes. What are some of your favorite songs you like to dance to?
Oh, I'm an old school person. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. So
I love Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Way back.
with Philip Bailey as the lead singer, right?
Yeah,
I know. I got you on that one. I totally understand that. You love trying new dishes. So what's your favorite dish that you like to eat, or is that cooking that you like to try your hand at?
Oh, no. I like to go out and let somebody else cook for me, and preferably outside. Okay. And I can eat just about anything as long as it's cooked. I'm not big on raw foods.
Oh, so sushi's not up your alley?
Nah.
No.
Maybe California roll, but nothing more.
Oh. Now, it also says you like to knit. What do you like to knit? What's your favorite, like scarves, sweaters, or just whatever?
I like to. It just allows me to zone out. So I just want to do a square. I don't want to have a pattern or anything. I just want to zone out and knit in a square, but
gotcha.
It's peaceful.
I was just going to say, my wife took up crocheting about a year ago. She's now working on sofa covers. That's how she's crocheting. I don't know. I mean, she's just like a crocheting machine right now.
Nice.
Fortunately, friend of our daughter's who lives in New Orleans, she just had a baby. So my wife's busy crocheting stuff for the baby. Thank goodness, because we don't have grandchildren yet, so we're crocheting for everybody else. Anyway, welcome back everybody to Kiwanis Connects. We got a lot going on. MyHealthReimagined.org is LaVerne's website. Been at this now technically with this business for about 90 days. So the entity is relatively new as a nonprofit. But all right, so let's kind of get back to it. What has been the most interesting stories that you've heard from some of your clientele that you listen to and go, well, geez, no wonder why life's been a little upside down for you. Let's kind of get you back on track. And I know HIPAA and everything, so there's going to be no names or anything, but I'm just curious about what kind of experiences people are having out there that just sort of gives them that disconnect feeling that we have to work on getting them back in check with.
Yeah, so I had one story where the woman talked about she was diagnosed with diabetes, and she was in like a really the later stages where once she realized what was going on, she had to be admitted into the hospital right away. But the challenge was that she thought she was benefiting from a nice weight loss routine. She had started drinking all of this water and she started losing weight, and she was excited about her weight loss. She didn't realize that the weight loss in her case was a sign or symptom that she should have been paying attention to. She was losing too much weight too quickly.
Okay.
But where the reason why her story stands out for me is because we always talk about that doctor-patient relationship, that most of us are lacking that connection with our doctors. But this person said that that's what saved her life. She had built a doctor-patient relationship. She had the same doctor for, umpteen years, almost 20 years. And that relationship saved her life because the person knew her when she came in. She was able to share her story. She had a connection where she was able to sit down and say, this is what's been going on. And so that's what I like to hear on the show. Like, there is so much negative health outcomes that we hear about all the time. I love it when we hear what works, what went right. And that's a story that went right. And so I love to share that one.
So, I mean, is it possible that I guess in the story you just shared, I guess I'm going to kind of answer my question without even really asking the whole question. But here this client of yours, she talked herself into thinking she was doing something positive. So the mental game of what we have to do on a day in and day out, we can talk ourselves into getting sick. We can talk ourselves into being happy or depressed or this. So how much of what we experience is the mental aspect of our inner voices, how our inner voices control how we feel and what we do?
Yeah. So, when I study resilience, and so I think that's where Aaron's question is coming from, but I study resilience way down in the molecular cellular levels. But my colleagues who study resilience at the psychological, social, behavioral levels, we all work together. We all work together to build a framework on resilience. And they will tell you for sure that oftentimes our own thought processes can serve as what I might say a placebo pill. Like what we are thinking, and whether it's negative or positive, can have an impact on us all the way down to our biological cellular levels. Mm-hmm. And Denise, I can say her name because she shared her name on our podcast. In Denise's case,
oops. Sorry.
In her case, she was very excited about the weight loss. And so maybe that's what kept her going long enough until she finally saw a doctor. But I want to also give kudos to that relationship, to the doctor that took the time to listen to her and understand her full story.
It's funny for those of you, I pulled up the website as you just mentioned that, and you actually have your episode 3 is titled Denise's Story, A Health Journey with Diabetes. So folks, I mean, I encourage you, I have the scroll running at the bottom, the link on YouTube for the Thrive show. So you can check that out. It's on YouTube /at My Health Reimagined. And you can just pull up episode 3 and hear the full interview with this lady, Denise, and kind of go into the story that LaVerne was just sharing. If you ever need production help, we could do that too, by the way, on the side note.
I certainly do.
we'll talk. You and I got a lot to talk about after the show. Not only that, we're both in Virginia doing this, but that's okay. And you said you have your mom up in Williamsburg.
Williamsburg, yeah.
We're out here.
I was born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. I've been traveling a lot, but I'm back home now.
You're anchored.
Yeah.
You're anchored. All right. All right. So let's see. What is it? I like myth busting. I'm a myth buster because I think people have preconceived notions about a lot of things in life nowadays, and we don't always necessarily know where to turn. So give us a couple of myths about the mental aspect or challenges that you face in helping your clients, that when they come to you and say, I feel X, Y, or Z, you go, listen, that's not accurate. Here's the reality. Do you have a couple of myths that we could share that we can, get people to understand on a lot better direction now?
Mythbusters. Let's see here. It's everything that you hear all the time. The whole more is better is not always better. That's the thing you hear all the time. Some other myths you hear is, I think I want to challenge this right now. I talk a lot about resilience, and you always hear this thing about what doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
I hate that sentence. I hate that. Along with this one, with all respect to anybody that believes in God, God would not give you something that he or she felt you could not handle. I'm like, you know what? Go find somebody else every once in a while. So I'm with you. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. How to react to
that? When people think that I study resilience and talk about resilience, they think that's what I'm talking about. And it absolutely is not what I'm talking about, because too much of a bad thing can kill you. And yes, we have resiliencies, and yes, we have strengths, but we have to have something to nurture those strengths, to sustain those strengths. And if we're not doing a good job of sustaining them, then you will see your health decline. And so please understand that when we're talking about resilience, we are not saying that whole what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
So I mean, there's only so much of that you can believe in. And this is not a question of spirituality. And I'm not questioning that in what people believe spiritually. But especially now in this day and age of life, I mean, we do have a lot of stressors in our life. And that's what we're talking about here. And I think the biggest thing we have to recognize is when it's too much, when we have to recognize to change ways to de-stress. Now, for you, we'll use the knitting comparison. For you de-stress by doing that. But for others, it's reducing schedules. It's spending time doing things that maybe are a waste of time or taking away from the focus of things you should be working on and having to readjust. So I think there's a lot of proof in the sentence of what you just talked about, but you have to be better managing that, right?
Exactly. So when we talk about resilience, it's funny how you're talking about you have to manage your stressors. There's another side to understanding resilience, especially at the molecular and cellular level. There's one thing to manage your stressors, and we call that prevention work or managing our risks. Mm-hmm. But also with resiliencies, we need to understand what our strengths are, because oftentimes if we enhance our strengths, that can help us to better respond to our stressors. And so that's what resilience is all about, is how are we able to respond to those stressors? And they could be mental stressors, they could be environmental stressors, they can be biological stressors like the COVID-19 virus, whatever. But sometimes there are things that are innately built in us, that are a part of us, that helps us to respond to the stressors. But sometimes we need help. Sometimes there are systems that need to be fixed that it can help us to better respond to our stressors. Sometimes there's a diet or exercise or a relaxation routine that can help us to better respond to our stressors.
Absolutely. Now we're talking about resiliency, and we talked about this before about my resiliency because of my health situation. So I'm going to change my background, and I don't generally do this because I don't like touting my own horn, but I want you to take a look at this background once it pops up there. And
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to slide out of the way as best as I can here. Maybe I'll go the other way. So on the left, in that red, ugly bathing suit, it was 354 pounds, type 2 diabetes, the whole shebang. And then the one on the right there, that is well after my gastric sleeve and right before the pandemic. That was actually on a Sunday. I did a workout in CrossFit called Death by Push-Up.
Oh my goodness.
Usually death and push-up should really never be in the same set, right? So it was a Sunday, and I was the only one in the class. No wonder, right? Death by push-up. I actually, for the first time ever, took my shirt off because the sweat during the workout was so heavy that after the workout, and I went to the bathroom to clean up, I looked at the mirror, and even I was amazed as to how the body had changed. And that's why I took this picture and did this. So I don't, but this is what my book is based on, in the things that I learned in terms of looking like, got to do it this way, looking like this to do what needed to be done to get healthy and look like this. And my wife did the gastric sleeve surgery about 12 days after I did. So we did it together. But yeah, I just, in our conversation, I wanted to show you that picture, and now I'm going to.
Awesome.
So I talk to people about it. I don't actively go after people and say, hey, you need to lose weight. I'm like, if people I made my story very public so that if somebody does reach out to me, then I can chat with them and I can, give them some guidance, and especially if they're going to do a gastric procedure. I've been there, done that. Now I did the sleeve. I can't talk to anybody about the bypass, but I can talk to people about the sleeve and help them. So yeah, I mean, that before and after series there is what helped me get reattuned, because now I listen to my body. I know when it, what I'm saying? It really helped refine everything like you're talking about, help me reconnect with my body when I'm not feeling right, when I need to work out, when it's something's a little tweak here, I got to fix this. I got to really help me redefine and reconnect with who I am on the inside, not just on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How much?
I bet now you know all your strengths. You know what you're good at and what helps you to keep going stronger.
True. I am more. Yes, I am more in tune.
Yes.
Because it's funny. Today at CrossFit we're working on muscle ups, and for those who don't know what that is, just Google it. It's a very shoulder painful movement if you've had shoulder surgery. So I'm kind of working through it, but I can't do that. I'm not great at some body movement exercises, but we had a workout today where the trainer broke down the steps and doing a muscle up in very baby steps. And we were talking afterwards, and he was very happy to see that I worked through those steps to figure out how to eventually maybe do a real muscle up. But he was very pleased that I pushed myself to go through the steps and try it and work through it. Just like doing jump rope, man. Before CrossFit, I could never jump rope. I was afraid because of that 354-pound body. I tripped once on the rope, I'm dead, right? So I was tired of doing the adjusted movements, and I pulled up a video on the 3 or 4 basic steps and how to do a jump rope. And I didn't tell my coach. I went in one day. I said, Coach, I got a surprise for you. No more plates overhead and all that stuff. I'm jump roping, and I can do single unders now. I'm trying to teach myself to do doubles, but I taught myself to do it. So yes, the fear of doing things for the first time is greatly reduced. But I'm also 61, and I know where my limitations are.
Right.
So those are the things, it's like I've got to put them in perspective. Like, I'm a pro wrestling fan. At 61, you ain't getting me into a pro wrestling ring. But, I did commentary. So, but you're right. The antennas of awareness, which is, I think, where a lot of people are missing things nowadays. We're just not in tune to what's going on around us for many, many reasons. Right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get on my own soapbox.
Oh, no, I love it, because it takes me back to the podcast, to the Thrive podcast, because those stories like yours, when other people hear your story, then it helps. We'd be surprised of the benefit we gain, not just from the connection that we're making, but just for ourselves. Like, there is something that I can do about this. And this isn't an example.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Let's go back to some myths. What are the things what are the things when they're going through this? Or let me backtrack instead of myths. Let's talk about symptoms. What symptoms should people exhibit when there is that disconnect from what's going on around them? Give us some things that people should be aware of their environment before, in order to say, hey, I need to call LaVerne and we need to have a chat.
Okay, so first of all, let's just get this clear. I am not a medical doctor. So if you call me, I'm not going to give you advice. But what I would love for you to do is to call and just talk about it on my show, because what would happen is somebody else could hear your story and then there could be a connection made there. And really what we want our stories to, I think what we're feeling right now for a lot of us is that we aren't able to communicate these issues we're having with our healthcare providers. That's what's driving people in all of these other directions to self-medicate and to do all of these things. And that's the part of the system we should change, that we should work to change. And the goal is, as much as I've been saying that it's a great thing for us to hear each other's stories and to learn from each other's stories, it's also an even better thing for the healthcare providers, the policymakers, the researchers to hear these stories and to start asking different questions when they're designing the studies, to start asking different questions when your patient come in. And, do you want to just center all your questions on those risks and those deficits? Or would you rather learn more about the whole person? That's what ideally our podcast can achieve.
I want to get your comments. Something here in the notes before we went on the air. When the voices / perspectives of, and the words that I circled here in this line, of marginalized groups are not captured in health narratives, then the default narrative is that of risk, deficit, and disease burden. Can you expand on that a little bit, please?
Yeah, and this is what I picked up as a medicinal chemist, not only in the laboratory, but reading the science literature. There is a tendency to feel that there is one group that needs to be fixed. And that creates a problem. That creates a sense of distrust for some communities when they interact with the health system, with either providers or researchers. If you approach a physician or a researcher who's doing a clinical trial, and they always are trying to fix you, but you feel in yourself that, I think I'm doing pretty good. Like every time I go to the doctor, they're giving me this, how can I say it? Their perspective of me is always this negative perspective rather than seeing the whole me. Then there's this pushback. There's this feeling that maybe I don't want to talk to doctor right now, or maybe I don't want to participate in that clinical trial. And by the way, I keep bringing up clinical trials is because marginalized groups tend to not want to participate in clinical trials, and there is a reason for that. There is a huge lack of distrust. There's documented evidence for understanding why there is a huge lack of distrust. But we can fix that, right? We can move forward with that, but not by just forgetting the history, by acknowledging the history and making it a point to understand the humanity of all individuals that in research trials and in a doctor's office.
Right. We're not cookie cutters. What works for one does not work for the other.
Exactly.
Our backgrounds are different, right? Heritage, lineage, genealogy, and hereditary traits makes me as different as the next guy, even though we may look alike. I have fraternal twins. You think as twins, they'd be, they're not identical twins, but they are still their separate people, even though they are twins. They come from my wife, and everybody is different. And I think, there's a lot in today's society where they try to put everybody into the same category, the same cookie cutter methodology. But what works for one doesn't mean it's going to work for the next. And that's what I think people tend to forget about. All right, listen, we're going to stop right there for our second final break of the show, because when we come back, we got some more things to talk about with LaVerne. We have Melissa Atwell's message of the mental health moment. Of course, LaVerne's going to get us started with some bad dad jokes before I jump in with some baseball-themed bad dad jokes, because baseball started this past week. My Yankees beat the Giants on opening day 2 days ago out in San Francisco, so we can end the season right now at 1-0. I'd be a happy camper. All right, you're watching Kiwanis Connects, more with LaVerne and me and John in Vegas. We'll be right back.
Good morning. My name is Alejandro Hogan, and this year I'm the president of the Kiwanis Club for Literacy in Salinas. We're a small club, but what we do is we believe in literacy, and what better way to promote literacy than to come to different schools.
We go to schools where there are 4 first-grade classrooms. That way we are able to distribute us as members to go in each classroom and give that 30 minutes of enthusiasm for the students to read and become engaged on that book.
Our goal is that they get a book once a month and they take it home. It doesn't stay at school, so that by the end of the year, they have their own home library.
We need more people to believe in what we do, and we want you to join the Kiwanis Literacy Club of Salinas.
Kiwanis International is a global community of clubs, members and partners dedicated to improving the lives of children one community at a time. Today, we stand with more than 550,000 members, from K-Kids to Key Club to Kiwanis, for all ages in over 80 countries around the world. Each community has different needs, and Kiwanis empowers members to pursue creative ways to serve the needs of children, such as fighting hunger, improving literacy, and offering guidance. Kiwanis clubs host nearly 150,000 service projects each year.
For more information, contact Herman Platsky at...
If you want attention, you need more than an ad. You need a presence. Welcome to WWDBTV, your internet streaming TV station built for business and people. We create high-impact commercials and video podcasts with pro production. Then we help distribute your show where audiences already watch and listen. Your brand, your story. Broadcast ready. On streaming, on social, and beyond. Ready to be seen? Visit WWDBTV.com and book your production today.
All right, welcome back. I had a thought in my head that I wanted to say about John. You know, you cut off Herman Platsky's email address in that commercial. Just thought I'd share that with you. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, he pissed me off.
Oh. Boy, John, you know what? John should be one of your clients, LaVerne, because I don't know that you'd never be able to get him reconnected.
No. I am crafting a formal apology to send to Herman for that. And the other thing is, if they don't know who the hell Herman is by now, they ain't paying attention.
That's true. Mr. C's Candy himself, Mr. Herman Platsky out there in California. All right. Thank you for watching Kiwanis Connects. You notice that Doc Val is, let's just say she's on her own special assignment today. How's that? Sitting in, though, with us, of course, LaVerne Brown. She is the founder of her company called My Health Reimagined. Her and her board of directors, of course. She was quick to give them props at the beginning of the show. Listen, she started this organization only December of 2025, only a few months ago. I mean, the new car smell is still on the company, but she's doing some great things to help clientele. She's got a great podcast out there called Thrive. We'll run the link again here momentarily. It's on YouTube and
Spotify.
And Spotify. There you go. That's just for the audio as well. Are you visual on the YouTube side, or is it just the audio?
There is one episode where we were visual, but as I said, Aaron, I'm being nice to you because I shy away from the camera. This is not my thing. So usually our podcast is done with just the audio. And it's also to allow folks to feel completely comfortable in sharing their stories.
Absolutely. No, of course. You know, and there is a John Crawford, go to your room with that joke you just put in there, John Crawford. Did you know baseball's mentioned in the Bible, the very first line, in the big inning? Yes, John, go to your room. All right, he's got his. How many bad dad jokes do you have, LaVerne, for us? You have more than one?
Maybe 1.5, kind
of. All right, so we'll hold it off until we're ready to start that segment. So, all right, John, why don't we throw it to Melissa Atwell? Mental health moment. Melissa Atwell, take it away.
Hi, I'm Melissa Atwell, here with your mental health moment. Hope can be small. Hope doesn't have to be huge to make a difference or an impact. Sometimes it's the belief that tomorrow can be a little lighter, a little brighter. So hold on to that. And remember, take a moment for your mental health.
Her message is always on task every week. Thank you, Melissa, as always. All right. Next steps include Creative Arts Challenge and engage partners abroad. Talk about that.
Yeah, so of course, if we're telling our story, what's the best way to tell a story is through creative arts. And we want to engage the youth. And the reason we want to engage the youth is because if we're truly reimagining a health system that serves all better, then that's something that we're, as adults, as you know, I'm a 54-year-old woman. I shouldn't have said that. Oops. But as adults, we're kind of conditioned. We're stuck in the system. But our youth have not yet been conditioned. So I would love to tap into their energy to understand what they imagine our health system should look like that benefits them. And I think the best way to do that is through a creative arts challenge. And so that's one thing we want to do. But the other thing we want to do is we want to connect our stories. Again, if we want to change the systems to make the system better for us, then we need to have an example, some ideas of what's working and what's not working. And so we want to connect our stories with some ideas abroad about, you know, here's a story here in the US where we're having challenges with this piece of our health system. If we took that story and applied it somewhere abroad, how would that outcome have been? And so we're seeking partners now to get ideas and to make that connection of what can work and what may not work in reimagining our health systems.
Are these things that you know, on a bigger picture that you can maybe eventually take to like legislation to change things on federal and state levels and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So believe it or not, Aaron, last year about this time, I had this big picture idea of just me, one little old me, was going to do just that. And I wrote this big $1 million grant with nobody working with me, just me. And I actually thought I was going to get the grant. But I now realize that I can't do everything all at once, but that's still my big picture vision.
Okay.
And I'm starting small, but the goal is to build our way up to make some real policy changes so that we can all feel benefited from our health systems.
Absolutely. Look who joined us. Doc Val's back with us. Hey, she made it back just in time, almost for bad dad jokes. All right.
Awesome.
So we've actually been delving into so many different aspects of what LaVerne's company can do and understanding what she does also with the podcast. We've been running a scroll for her podcasts on YouTube as well, so people can tune in. We've talked about case examples and all that good stuff. So since we still have about 10 minutes or so, Val, why don't I toss it to you to get some questions and thoughts in for LaVerne while you're with us?
Well, I you know, one of the things that we were watching in the background, I think our person that we were with kept thinking that we were being rude. And we're like, no, there's this fantastic thing happening right now. As we're looking at your podcast, I just really wanted to reemphasize the fact that you really do want the stories and you want the real. You don't want people to make up anything because you don't need to.
Yes.
With the lived experiences that we all have, you don't need to. And I've really been thinking about the fact that when I come to visit you, I have to really narrow down my stories because for me, as a military kid, with so many comorbidities that came with my birth, it's just played out, and so I'm going to have to really narrow it down. Otherwise, you're going to have a 12-hour show with me. But this is the benefit of Kiwanis Connects. Is when we connect, it's not just for the benefit of this audience, but if we want to make sure that people are reaching out beyond our borders and what we do on a regular basis. And so, Aaron, thank you for holding the ball. I noticed that there was not 1 second that you guys were trying to figure out, okay, now what do we do?
Oh God, no! This isn't my first rodeo. I mean, come on
I
now.
know.
We always
Well, you're
should have.
Emmy Award winning.
Oh yeah, Emmy Award winning? I don't know, Emmy Award winning, but yeah.
Hall of Famer, dude.
Yeah,
But,
well,
okay.
that and $10 still only gets me coffee and Starbucks. So it's no, it's been a fascinating. For me personally, I mean, it's been a fascinating experience because I'm relating some of the things that I've gone through, my health and all the stressors in life and running a business and blah 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 blah. And I'm trying to correlate what LaVerne does with her clientele and like, okay, what disconnects would I have experienced that I need to try to get back in and I've taken my own steps to sort of get connected again. Of course, having a wife of 37 years who tells you that you're an idiot and you're not talking to me anymore, you better fix yourself, is probably the best barometer that I have that something's not right. But it's like I'm correlating my own personal life, lived experiences like she talks about, and thinking about, okay, that was a disconnect. This I needed to do better, resiliency with my health and all of that. I'm like, heck yeah. I'm like, this makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. And for me, the aha moment really came in talking about the fact that my story is relevant and that it matters.
Yes.
Because, one of the things that from my seat of all of the different isms that I face on a regular basis in our world, it really suppresses my ability to share a story. So I'm so thankful that this opportunity now exists. I meet so many people in graduate programs where they have the imposter syndrome and they are trying so hard to pretend that what's going on for them in their personal life doesn't affect their professional life. So this connection is really huge. And there are several people that I'm going to be sharing this with because we have some leaders in CNH that are rock stars, but they are at compassion overload. And they don't understand that compassion overload and how that affects their bodies. And when you have someone like our favorite friend, Derek, who at 36 has a stroke, and it almost takes him out because he wasn't listening to his body because he was too busy giving. Those stories are important. And so I don't want to eat into bad dad jokes because, oh my goodness, baseball season is here and I am a fair-weathered baseball fan. This first 2 weeks, I break out my jerseys, and World Series, I break out my jersey. In between, if it's not live, I don't watch. So you can use your jokes now.
All right, there you have it. Opening day, Norfolk Tides here in the Norfolk area. They are the AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. As I mentioned earlier, the Yankees beat the Giants on Wednesday 7-0, even though Aaron Judge went 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. But we're undefeated. We should just stop the season right now.
Right now, but no, exactly. You have to play another 156 games.
All right, fine, if you want to play that many. All right, LaVerne, yeah. LaVerne, hit us with your joke. Let's get rocking and rolling.
All right, so I'm a mom, so I can't help it but to tell a joke that involves my daughter. And she's always text messaging, and I promise you, these kids, they came up with a whole new text messaging language. There's LOL, which I'm like, okay, I figured that one out. That's laugh out loud. And then there's the LMAO. I kind of figured that one out. But then there was one in her text message. I was like, what does that mean? She typed TBHIDK. So I went to Google and I said, Google, what is TBHIDK? And even Google said, to be honest, I don't know.
I just pieced it together as you said it in my head. I'm like, all right, here it comes. I love it.
All right, Aaron, I have one more for you and then I'm done.
All right.
What happens, Aaron, if we remove your lips? We're going to have to call you Aaron Phil.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
John,
that's awesome.
John hit it. I hope my wife didn't hear that one because she'll be after me on that one. Oh my goodness. All right, here you go. Baseball themed bad dad jokes. Steve Nagel, if you're listening, good for you. All right, here you go. Why was a baseball player a great musician? Why was a baseball player a great musician? Because he had perfect pitch. No? Okay. Why did the baseball player bring string to the game? Why did the baseball player bring string to the game? Because he wanted to tie the score. No? All right. Why did the baseball player go to art school? He wanted to learn to draw walks. Oh, boy, this is a hard. Oh, my God.
Whoa. Yeah.
It's a tough crowd today. Am I going to have to break out the flashcards here in a moment? Holy cow. Where do they keep the largest diamond in New York City?
Wrigley Field.
New York City, you huckleberry. What map are you looking at that Chicago's in New York City? LaVerne, I think John.
That was a joke within a joke.
Not very good one. You don't want him to, you want to know where they keep the largest diamond in New York City? Yankee Stadium. I'm in the field. Come on now. Did you hear the joke about the pop fly? Did you hear about the joke about the pop fly? Forget it. It was over your head anyway. Don't worry about it. All right. Pop fly over. Okay. Oh, at least. All right. Come on, Doc Val. You like that one. I know. See, I got you on one. Where do you keep your mitt while driving? Where do you keep your mitt while you're driving? In the glove compartment. In the glove compartment. Come on now. Two more, and then mercifully. Oh, wait a minute. Andy says keep going. I don't know if that means that they're good or bad. All right. Which baseball player holds water? Which baseball player holds water?
The pitcher.
Yes, John. You just redeemed yourself. Last but not least, mercifully, how do baseball players keep in touch? How do baseball players keep in touch? Well, of course, they touch base every once in a while. That does it. A bad dad joke.
My problem with baseball, like I said, is I'm such a fair-weathered fan, and I have no clue about the rules.
Well, those had nothing to do with rules. It was just about knowing the position of players and who's involved in baseball.
Yeah, that's the rules, kiddo.
All right. I tried to be in the spirit of opening day.
The best parts of baseball, drinking outside in the sun. And if you don't drink,
hopefully you eat while you're drinking out in the sun, because that could be a gnarly situation if you're not eating while you're drinking. All right, I'm trying to see if I have any better jokes within reach, and I don't. So you're all gonna have to just deal with them really bad dad jokes.
why don't we have Dr. Brown save you?
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Another joke, or
oh no. Tell us, Aaron. Help me out.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's wrap it up, LaVerne. Let's talk about the company, what you provide to people, and the importance of why we need to reconnect our misconnections.
Right. So My Health Reimagined is a brand new nonprofit 501c3 organization. And our goal is to uplift voices that are historically unheard, underrepresented in health narratives. And so we're especially interested in hearing stories from marginalized groups, because those groups are the groups who face the greatest amount of inequities, but yet are those that are less often heard in or understood in the health frameworks. And so we have so far already 5 podcast videos that have been posted. We have already big plans for what we're going to do next. And so if you don't mind, just take a look at our website to find out how you can get involved.
There you have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The website is scrolling on the bottom, but if you're just listening and not watching, it is myhealthreimagined.org. LaVerne, thank you for coming on. And again, if you ever run short of a guest and need to scrape the bottom of the barrel, just give me a shout. I'd love to come on and share my story in a little more detail with you.
Thank you for having me, Aaron. And Good to see you, Doc Val. Thank you for inviting me.
Aloha. This is not the end, but this is the absolute beginning, because I see some connections all over the world with what you do. And I want to make sure that we're part of making sure that those stories get out there.
Thank
You know, I've been traveling all week and working on a number of projects, and we have a little bit of a process. So stay tuned. We are going to make some worldwide announcements where even the AP friends are going to want to pull stories from us and go on CBS and NBC, because we are changing the world with Kiwanis Connects.
Love it, love it. All right, everybody, that does it for this week's edition. Couple of quick notes. Number one, for those of you celebrating Passover next week, Seder number 1 is Wednesday, April 1st. No April Fool's joke there, folks. So enjoy Seder, which I will be doing one here at my house. Tomorrow, programming note on Aaron's Hour from 11 a.m. until noon. I'm going to have guests on along with my Tidewater Community College folks talking about a project called TBOC, Take Back Our Children. On Saturday, April 11th, it is an all-day music seminar day to bring music back into the lives of our kids with a big event at night that yours truly will be spending a couple hours at, helping to fundraise and help this organization get going again. So with that, everybody, thank you for watching. Be kind to everybody. Why? Because we're all we have. We'll see you next time. Oh, by the way, don't forget, 12:30 11, local channel Sky 4, Cox Cable, channel 4, the voice of 757. Have a great week, everybody. For all of us at Kiwanis Connects. See you next week. Bye-bye.